So recycling started in Madison in 1968. The American Paper Institute had approached the U.S. Forest Products Lab, which happens to be here in Madison, to try to figure out a way to recycle newspaper. Then together they approached the city of Madison, and we were able to start a newspaper recycling program.
Well, recycling was pretty minimal throughout the whole country, but Madison was actually the leader in the entire United States. You know, if somebody else had asked me what spurred recycling, I would have said Earth Day in 1970 that Gaylord Nelson from Wisconsin really pushed. And yet when you think about it, this was 2 years before Earth Day. So Madison was way ahead of the curve.
The American Paper Institute was looking for a new source of raw materials rather than just cutting down more trees to make more paper.
For industry, I would say the most important reason to recycle is a new source of raw materials. Instead of cutting down a tree, you recycle a ton of paper. That's like 17 trees. And it has already been processed. So the processing of that back into paper is much less energy intensive, much less costly than cutting down trees.
When I came into this business, I was a tree hugger. Now I'm an international commodity broker. Because that's really what it boils down to. If somebody can't make something out of your recycling, then it's not recycling. You can't do anything with it. Not to save trees, not to save resources or anything else. It was able to make money. We could collect it for $5 a ton and sell it for 10. Ka-ching.
I started on a trash truck, on the rear loader as a seasonal and doing brush. Yeah, we went from no recycling to speak of besides newspapers and metals to recycling all plastics, cardboard, everything.
The big push came, I think, in around 1989 when Dane County banned yard waste in order to save landfill space. And so that got Madison thinking even more about where are we going to go from here, what else can we recycle, and then that led us into recycling in '91 of curbside commingled recycling. One of the first programs in the country to do that in 1991. It snowballed to one of the best recycling programs in the country. The more we offered, the more they wanted to partake. And basically, I think the City of Madison residents are the ones that forced us to go into more and more recycling.
So there was a big change with the workforce as well as the public on recycling, what they do with it, what they can and what they can't recycle. And with the employees, we had to hire another 15, 16 employees to do the recycling.
One of the things that we as Dane County were very lucky about, and in fact other counties were very lucky about, is that the City of Madison spent a great deal of time and effort on education programs. And the recycling manager at that time for the City of Madison was George Streckman. And George Streckman had a very wonderful rapport with the public. He designed some extraordinarily innovative educational materials, advertisements on the TV. I would go to statewide conferences, and when the topic turned to education, some of the communities around Dane County would say, we don't need to educate our public. We get Madison TV and George Streckman does it for us for free.
It was shameless, utterly shameless.
And so in 2005, there was another big change of recycling in Madison. We went to what's called automated collection. So our one operator now can drive a special truck to each stop and then just use this robot arm that he can extend from the truck, grab a cart, and then dump it into the vehicle rather than having to hop out and collect each stop by hand.
Workers' comp was real high for streets because we lifted everything by hand. When we went to automated, workers' comp went down because everything was put into a cart.
We were able to recycle more materials, thanks to George Streckman, the recycling coordinator back in 2005. He found markets for us.
You know, we do 16, 17 different things that were recycled before I left, which was amazing because when I started, you only recycled maybe 2.
So the one thing I would say to the public about recycling is make certain you stay up to date with the rules. Because as products change in our lives, the recycling rules change with them.
The biggest message that I would say is recycling is not trash. These are raw materials for industry. They need quality material.
Stick to the instructions. Recycle what we tell you to recycle. That's so big right now, and it's been big all along. When you put the wrong things in the recycling, it still goes to the landfill.
I think the biggest thing is people need to know what they can recycle, and they should recycle. There's a lot of people that throw things away that shouldn't be thrown away. And the landfills are filling up, and we have to recycle and keep that stuff out of landfills.
I wish they would recycle more. Realize that still probably half the material they're putting into their trash could be recycled.
So recycling is a global commodity, and it will ebb and flow over time. There'll be times where there's a lot of money in the system and times when there's less. But we're just going to keep recycling though, because it's the right thing to do.